Welcome, everyone, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. I'm pleased to welcome you all to our webinar on the topic Evolutionary Approach to Pragmatic Enterprise Agility, brought to you by Nimble. So, while people are still joining in, let me start with the agenda. So, first, I'll do the introductions, both of our speakers as well as of our sponsors. Then we'll move on to our main topic. After that, we'll have an interactive Q&A session where we can learn from your experiences on this important topic. A few housekeeping items. This session is being recorded and the recording will be available by email to all registered participants. We will be taking questions using the Q&A box on the Zoom panel. Please enter your questions there and we will address them either at the end of the session or earlier if possible. So let me introduce our two speakers for today. Joining me is Manocharian. He is the VP of Business Development at Nimble. He has been deeply involved not only in business development, but also in managing some of our largest projects and consulting engagements. Also, I'm happy to introduce Mahesh Singh. He's our co-founder and CMO at Nimble. He's an esteemed career professional with experience in project management, product management, marketing, consulting. He's also a recognized Kanban fellow by Kanban University. So a quick overview of Nimble. We have been pioneers in web-based project and work management solutions for over 2 decades. We are based out of Cupertino, California, but we have offices in North America, Europe, and India. And we serve over 1 million users worldwide. So this is our product portfolio, which you see is quite comprehensive, covering the entire value stream of work management, whether it's starting from strategy with portfolio management or OKRs to execution with project delivery to managing projects and regular day-to-day work. We offer solutions for agile, hybrid, traditional project management approaches, as well as tools for continuous improvement, such as Nimble Retro for retrospectives. Finally, look at some of our customers, ranging from small teams to large organizations with tens of thousands of users. They have extensive experience working with various organizational cultures and structures. So with that, let's start with today's session. Over to you, Mahesh.
Thank you, Linza. Let me share my screen.
Yes.
Let me know that you can see it.
Yes.
All right. So good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to all of you who have already joined. Really great to have you here with us today. I'm happy to say that usually I'm based in the Bay Area, and we're doing this webinar either our morning, in evening in India, or vice versa. But I'm currently in Bangalore and sitting here with Mano. We are managing our audio so that we don't cause echoes in the sound. And it's good to be here and to be able to talk together. Just want to make sure that our audio is correct. All right. So with that, let me get going. So we had actually done a session on Pragmatic Agile just probably a few months back, and we got actually really good feedback on how we support Pragmatic Agile, how our customers are looking at Pragmatic Agile as a way to more successfully implement Agile, whether in IT or product or in general business agility. We followed that with our presence at the PMI Summit in September, and we're surprised at the number of people who came to us and said, "Hey, the word pragmatic caught our attention," and they wanted to understand what Pragmatic Agile really meant. And clearly, what we have seen is that there is a sort of ongoing challenge that organizations face when they're implementing Agile, whether it is a mindset issue or a culture issue or a just the change management challenge. Because when you start to implement Agile, depending on the way that you start to do this, it can be a really a big bang approach with a lot of changes in the organization, both in terms of the organization structure, people's designations change, a lot of the processes change, and of course the entire planning and execution cycle framework changes. People sort of go from upfront planning to ongoing delivery and planning as a part of your sprint-based delivery, and it causes a tremendous amount of turmoil in organizations, especially when you're starting fresh. And what we've seen is that we ourselves included, we've seen that the ability to deal with that can cause a lot of disconnect between execution teams who are perhaps the first set of teams that work on agile in terms of product development, IT application development, etc. While senior management and leadership is struggling to understand what is the predictability of this project, when are we going to get the business value that we are supposed to get from that project. So there is a constant sort of tussle between multiple parts of the organization, and as a result, agile tends to, even though it has helped and benefited thousands of teams around the world, there is still a ongoing struggle that happens when you start to implement agile. And not just us, but we have seen a lot of uh, uh, business leaders, sorry, agile leaders address this issue. And a number of people have talked about pragmatic agile for a fairly long period of time. And now I think over a period of the last 2 to 3 years, or maybe 2 to 4 years, we've seen a body of knowledge emerge that is now being referred to as pragmatic agile. And we have ourselves been focused on it with our history of implementing Kanban and continuous improvement, continuous flow, continuous delivery. We have also focused on implementing or adopting pragmatic agile not only within Nimble work, but also in whatever implementation that we are involved with, where our customers need our support and our help for implementing agile. So, what is pragmatic agile? It is really a gradual and staged approach to implementing things that are required for the team. So it can be applied at a team context, it can be applied at a business unit context, or it can be applied for the entire enterprise. But the idea is to, rather than do a big bang approach, but instead of that, to go with a more staged, more gradual approach to implementing agile. So in general, pragmatic agile's characteristics include some of the points that are mentioned on the slide here, whether it is flexibility and adaptability, which is of course inherent to agile, practical application. So it's really about not following a set of defined practices, but what really is required for a particular team or a particular context or a particular project, and then using agile principles and agile ceremonies in a very practical manner that benefits that particular context. Customizability or configurability of the agile principles to or the practices to really adopt it for the kind of work that you're doing is a key aspect of pragmatic agile. And ultimately, the focus of agile is to deliver value. So while a lot of the initial focus in any improvement framework is on the classic definition of that framework. Agile has always focused on delivering value. And I think with pragmatic Agile, we are really trying to get back to the roots of what Agile really is all about, which is to deliver value, irrespective of what the kind of processes that the team is using or the customer is using. And ultimately, through that comes things like continuous improvement, which is again a key aspect of implementing Agile. Again, some of the other aspects of Agile, which in any case are required in a distributed and hybrid world, is collaboration and communication, where we talk about people over process and the ability to continuously interact and collaborate and deliver value to customers. And of course, support for technical excellence and technical, Agile practices like TDD and BDD, etc., so that you are able to really actually deliver quality in terms of your deliverability working. So these are some of the key pillars of pragmatic agile that have been talked about over the last several years, and this is what we support through Nimble. And what we wanted to show today is what are some of the things that we really support. And I'm going to just give a list of things here that we believe to be critical to the way that teams work on and adapt agile. And these are just some of the sort of key areas where agile gets adopted and in a manner that it helps both the delivery teams and the customer really come to agreement on what is really needed and what is value to customer. And some of these things here include agile estimation, story mapping, backlog refinement. Agile program management is a big part of providing the teams the ability to deliver continuously, but at the same time provide predictability to the entire project to say when will I get a particular product or a particular feature or a particular epic, things like that. And we have got a few other things here. So with this, I'm going to turn it over to Mano, and we'll show you how some of these things are supported in Nimble, and we come back to discussing what how you can benefit from Pragmatic Agile. So Mano, let me switch this over to you. Stop sharing.
Thank you, Mahesh, for setting the context. And are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So thank you all for joining this session. And I will take you through our product where we will show you how some of these flavors of Pragmatic Agile and its key concepts can easily be implemented in an integrated solution like what I'll just very briefly be demonstrating to you today. So, like Mahesh mentioned, once a project or an engagement or a product development initiative has been established, the first aspect that needs to be looked into is what is it that we are going to deliver, the value which we are going to deliver to the customer or the end users who are going to consume that service. Now, for that, we provide a very easy to use, user friendly module known as story mapping, where you will be able to list out all the primary use cases that needs to be implemented in that specific project or product. Now, for each of these primary use cases, we provide a visual mechanism wherein which you will be able to break down the use case to its respective themes. And then themes can be broken down to epics. Epics can be broken down to technical stories or functional stories. And you will also get a view in terms of the stories that are there in the backlog for that specific use case. And you will also be able to see the stories that is getting implemented across various releases that is ongoing within the context of the project. So this is a very simple mechanism wherein which you will be able to break down your high level use case in a very collaborative manner along with your customers. And you will then be able to bring it down to smaller user stories, which can basically be picked up by the sprint or the scrum teams for its execution. Now, this representation is also provided in the module in a different manner. Like say, for example, if I go to the Teams module, you will be able to see the themes which the teams are working on at this particular point of time. And then when you click on any of the theme, you will get a visual view as you have done in the story mapping. You will get a visual view in terms of how the theme is broken down to its associated epics, and then how the epics are further broken down to the user stories. And you will be able to see the percentage completion, which team, which board that particular user story is being worked upon at any point of time. So what we are trying to highlight over here is we provide a visual way, a very simple and easy way in which a high level use case can be broken down in a hierarchical manner. The number of levels can be as per your requirement in a hierarchical manner to the user stories. The user stories will constitute your backlog. The user stories and the technical stories will constitute your backlog. Once you have established the backlog, then the next step, which the tool helps you, the system will help you in, is arriving at some kind of an estimate, for which we provide a methodology known as the relative size estimation, which will give you the list of user stories which has been estimated. And you're able to see here some of these user stories are estimated as small and medium. And then you will get to see the user stories which are not estimated. Now, the principle over here is you will pick up the user story and compare it with the user stories which are estimated. Now, so say, for example, if I say that this user story is similar to the user story 13, which has been implemented, then I will just drop it in that lane. And based on that, it will then derive the estimate and tell you that the estimate for that particular user story, as you can see here, is 10 story points. Now, this is, we have seen a lot of our customers using this, and the feedback which we have got is this approach of estimation is fairly accurate. It is accurate because it is based on the stories which has already been estimated, and some of these stories which has been estimated has also been completed. As you can see here, the work has been completed. So you're comparing it with something which has been determined by the team, and hence it reduces the variability and it ensures that the estimation will be accurate. So we now have a backlog. We now have a backlog which has been easily estimated. Then the next step is, yes, as the project is executing, you will define your releases and sprints. You will have your teams. We provide a mechanism where a project can have multiple teams. We also provide a mechanism wherein which within a release, you may have multiple sprints running parallelly. So the sprints can run sequentially or the sprints can run parallelly. As a result of this, what is important now is how do I prioritize which user story needs to be mapped to which sprint. It cannot be randomly picked. There has to be a logic. There has to be a structured process wherein which you will be able to identify user stories that caters to a specific segment or a specific set of requirements, and then you should be able to prioritize that. Now, for that, we provide a process within our application known as the refinement process. The refinement process will give you a total count of your backlog. So as you can see here, I have 585 stories, and in my backlog, I have 241. We provide methods wherein which you will be able to filter your user stories on the basis of modules or on the basis of priority or on the basis of story type or any dimensions that is important for you. So that is one way in which you can identify stories that will be of interest for your team. The other way is we provide a visual way in which you can group the stories. So you can create your own attributes, and based on these attributes, you can group your stories, and you're able to see the percentage completion. This green bar is giving you an indication on the percentage completion. So if you say, for example, look here, you'll see that I have done a lot of stories for configuration framework, but for the integration module, very little user stories has been completed. So you can say that, okay, in the next couple of sprints, let's focus on that. And then for integrations, you can further go and say that, okay, let us first pick up all the UI improvement related user stories and then take it up in our sprint plan. So what we allow you to do here is just through 2 or 3 clicks, your backlog, which constituted of more than 250 stories, has now come down to 6. You can then choose and prioritize the user stories. You can take it through a grooming process. Now, here is where you will detail the user stories. You will provide all the details in terms of the detailed description, the acceptance criteria. So all the details put and the required images and the documents associated with it. So all the details pertaining to the user story can be captured and then it can be prioritized. And once that has been prioritized, you will then move it to the sprint planning. Now, one of the benefit of taking the user story through a grooming process is typically what we have seen is when the stories are picked by the development teams, a lot of back and forth happens between the development team and the business analyst. The reason being the details are not properly provided or there is a gap in the requirement. So all of that can basically be bridged through this method wherein which once the details has been given, it is ready for sprint planning. And then all that the team needs to do is pick up that story and start executing on it. Now here you're able to see the stories which has been prioritized and groomed. You're able to see a sprint which is running, and you're able to see the remaining capacity. So what we allow you to do is through a simple drag and drop mechanism, you will be able to build the scope for the sprint. So we have looked at 3 steps from a practical, pragmatic, agile implementation perspective. We have seen how effectively you will be able to build your backlog through a simple visual story mapping mechanism. We have seen how you will be able to build the estimates, which is very important. Sizing the user stories is very important. using the relative size estimation method. And then we have seen how the user stories can be prioritized, again, using the visual paradigm that is provided in the solution. Once the user story has been prioritized, then the execution happens through a visual board. Now, the board which you see here is basically representing the value stream which a particular team is following. The board is configurable as it was highlighted in Mahesh's slide. So teams can go and create their own workflow or their own value stream by just accessing the editor module that we provide over here. At any point of time, the teams will be able to see the cards which they have to work upon. They will be able to see the cards which are in the validation queue. And then there are a lot of visual indicators which we provide over here. Like you will be able to see if a card is getting delayed because of a dependency, you will be able to see where new updates have come. You'll be able to see the aging of the card on the board. So a lot of such visual parameters are being provided, which will basically help the teams to focus on cards that needs attention, work on it, and make sure that the movement of work from one stage to the other stage is smooth and there are no disruptions in that moment. So that is what this visual board provides. We will just skip that, but it provides a lot of capabilities over here. Now, one of the important capability which we provide over here is we provide a stand-up wizard. Now, what this will help you to do is you can choose a team or you can choose an ongoing sprint, and you will be able to see all the user stories that are planned or mapped in that ongoing sprint. So if I just start the stand-up wizard, I will see the team members who are part of that sprint, and then I will be able to see the cards that has been assigned to them and where those cards are at any particular point of time. So like say, for example, we know that the sprint end date is approaching. And if you look at this resource, she still has two cards, which is in the analysis and design stage. So this can then, trigger a discussion within the teams. And in a very positive manner, you can then figure out what needs to be done to make sure that the team member is able to complete this work. So we provide a stand-up wizard, which will basically facilitate to do your stand-up visually online and then take the right corrective steps as the projects are getting executed. Now, apart from this, what the Nimble solution provides, Mahesh did talk about the capability of agile program management. So we provide a method wherein which you will be able to set up a lane at a program level, and all your program level initiatives or all your program level milestones can basically be put in that lane. And then you will be able to track the progression of work. You will be able to see the milestones or the initiatives that are in progress. You will be able to see the percentage completion of work. Now, this is again based on the fact that each of these initiatives or milestones which you have defined at a program level is broken down to its respective epics and user stories, and then you will be able to see that it is getting executed on different team boards. Now, as it is getting executed on different team boards, the percentage progress will get reported back to the epic, and then it gets consolidated to the team level, or which is your program level initiative or milestone. So we have a mechanism where you can have a lane at a program level. You can have multiple teams working on a particular program level initiative, and each of these teams may have their own board or may have their own workspace. And through the hierarchy which has been created, you will be able to see the parent entity, and the status from the child entity can also get rolled up to the parent entity, and you will be able to real time see the percentage progress as work is progressing at the child level board. So that is a program level capability that we basically provide over here in the system. Apart from this, when it comes to pragmatic agile, one of the question that keeps getting asked, which most of your customers are seeking for, is when will I get this feature, or when will this release be completed, or when will I get this module fully implemented? So these are certain questions which people ask as work is progressing. I'm sure the customers have all the right to ask such questions. Now, We do provide some mechanisms within the platform which will basically help us to address those questions. Like we have a timeline view, which will give you a timeline indication saying that, okay, you were supposed to complete this on this date. This is getting delayed, when you are likely to deliver it. So this is purely based on the fact that the Nimble system measures the speed at which work is getting completed, or the velocity at which work is getting progressed. And based on that, we do have an algorithm built into the system which will tell you that at this pace, you were supposed to release this by 28th November, but you're likely to release this only by 30th Jan. So those kind of insights the system is able to provide. So let me just elaborate this with another example. So here is a feature which which is design and implementation of a new widget which my customer is asking for. And you can see here, this was supposed to be delivered on 25th September. Today, you're on the first week of November and you have only completed 59% of the work. And at this pace, you're likely to release this on 16th Jan. So this is an insight which the system is able to provide, to business analysts and to customers. And then further, if you want to look at it, why is this getting delayed? You can then drill down to the epics that constitute that high level requirement. And then you can further go down to the user stories, and you will be able to see which user story, which epic is causing the delay. And once you have identified that, you will be able to bring in preventive measures to make sure that you will be able to complete that at a much earlier space. And all these views are being provided very early in the life cycle. It is not that it is getting plotted 5 days before the due date or 6 days before the due date. It is getting plotted very early in the life cycle, right from the second day, third day. You will be able to see whether you're on track or is a delay likely to happen, and where that delay is happening at any point of time. Now, along with this, what we do is we do provide practical dashboards, that pragmatic dashboards that can be viewed to track the progression of work. And you can plot these dashboards across multiple dimensions. Like say, for example, I want to get a quick glimpse on my backlog. What is pending? I want to know how many defects have come in. I want to know the aging of work items. I want to know the inflow of work items. I want to see the distribution of work items based on multiple parameters. So this will help me to focus on where I need to focus on in my upcoming release or sprint. Or I want to take a look at my burn down chart. So if I just go to sprint analysis, I'll be able to see my current burn down. You see that you're likely to get a spillover of 37 hours. You're able to see the velocity. You're able to see that your team on an average delivers 86 story points a release, a sprint, and the best they have delivered is 153. So you're able to see the velocity of your team, the capacity, the capability of your team. You're able to see whether your release is on track from a release burn up perspective. So all these dashboards and reports, which will give you an insight on how your program, your project, or your product development lifecycle is progressing, you will be able to see it very easily in the Nimble system. Now, the dashboards which Nimble provides is not restricted to a team. One of the good capability of Nimble is you can scale this adoption at an enterprise level. So I can, if I'm a senior stakeholder of an organization, I can basically go to my enterprise level dashboard to get multiple views. Like say, for example, I have a team size of 500 people. Now I want to, quickly see how my team members are. Let me just choose team members over here, and let me choose this timeline to December. Sorry, let me just choose to December. So I want to see how my team members are utilized. So you will see that overall your team members are utilized 90%, which is very good. You will be able to see the team members who are overutilized, so that is shaded over here. And like say, for example, you can see that this resource is 121% utilized, and if you drill down, you'll be able to see on which projects he or she is currently working on. You'll be able to see that there is a resource over here who's only 28% utilized, and you'll be able to see the their availability is from which date. So all these views are available, which will basically help you to make sure that your teams within the organization are properly utilized and are assigned or allocated to the right projects. Now, apart from getting your utilization views on your dashboards, we also provide, I'll just take you through one dashboard. We also provide a visualization where you will be able to see the overall health. So you can see maybe there are some 10, 15 product development initiatives that are going on within your organization. So we have a framework wherein which you can define your health definition parameters. And based on that, it will give you the overall health. It is an aggregated score at an enterprise level. So you can see here the delivery of your projects are not going well. It is in red. And then if you drill down, it will specifically point out those 3 or 4 or 5 projects which needs immediate attention, where things are going off track. Maybe they are not delivering work at the right pace, maybe their velocity is poor, or maybe they are injecting a lot of defects and issues in their project delivery or product delivery related activities. So you will basically be able to drill down and identify those areas which needs your attention. You will be able to get a view. So risk management is an important part of the Nimble Enterprise application. So in agile engagements, tracking risks and issues is important. Rolling them up at a project level, at a program level, at an enterprise level. You can escalate risks at an enterprise level. So you can see that there are 6 risks that are escalated. You can drill down. You can go to that specific risk, identify from which projects they are coming, and then try to see what needs to be done to mitigate those risks. So a lot of such data, including cost-related dashboards, is available at an enterprise level, which basically makes sure that at an enterprise level, if there is a senior leadership or a stakeholder who wants to view the progress of product development or projects that is being executed within your organization, you will be able to provide that interface effectively within the Nimble system. There is just 2 more points. I know we are on top of the hour, but there are just 2 more important points that I want to focus on. The first one is we provide a unique capability in our application where, and we have seen this requirement coming across multiple customer sites. So you have a project, the project has a plan, the project gets executed in a structured manner. Now, if you look at this plan, you are able to see that there are multiple phases. You have a requirement design development. Typically, what happens is in such a case, the requirement stage will get executed in a waterfall manner. So you can define your tasks and assign your resources, define your dependencies, and track the progression. So is the case with the design phase. But when you come to the development phase, you will be able to see that there are some tasks in my development phase which is getting executed using the waterfall manner. There are some tasks, like I have a wave 1 configuration, wave 2 configuration, which is getting executed in the hybrid manner. So what do I mean by hybrid is a hybrid task. I will be able to trace it or link it to a theme or an epic or a user story. So that is flexible. You can choose. You can configure it based on your requirements. In this example, the hybrid task is linked to an epic, and the epic is broken down to user stories, as you see here. The user stories will be in my backlog. The user stories, like I showed you before, can be estimated in an agile manner. It can be prioritized to releases and sprints in an agile manner. It can be executed in an agile manner using the execution board. And the percentage progress of those user stories will get reported back and it will get rolled up to the task. So you don't have to come and update the task in this integrated plan. So what it means is we provide a hybrid manner of execution, which is again helping teams to scale agile in a large manner, and it is also helping teams who are just newly moving to an agile framework. So you can still have some tasks in your execution plan, let it be for a service delivery or product development. Some tasks can still get executed the waterfall way, and some tasks will get executed the agile way. And once it is getting executed the agile way, it basically gets rolled up and it gets reported back to the Nimble system. So that is how we help manage hybrid projects. And we have seen this specific module being adopted in large organizations, especially in organizations where they want to, where they have different methodologies and they want to scale their hybrid and waterfall methods at an enterprise level so that the best of both can be adopted. And from a reporting perspective, you will be able to leverage the best of both the methodologies within your execution life cycle. Now, I'll just come to the last part, and then we will open the floor for Q&A. So what I want, Mahesh did mention that the capability and the scope of our platform is from strategy definition to execution. So we provide a PPM module, which I will just skip now, where you can define your demands, you can allocate budgets, you can take it through a review and approval process. Once it is approved, we provide an AI engine for the purpose of prioritization. And once it has been prioritized, you can allocate budgets and track it either in a waterfall, hybrid, or agile manner, just like I just showed you now. But we also provide what we call as a OKR module, where you can define your objectives. Objectives can be defined at a company level, it can be defined at a department level, but each objective that you define can be broken down to key results. As you can see over here, the key results, you will be able to come and update the progress. And each key results can be further broken down to actionable work items. And these actionable work items can be executed in projects. As you can see here, this sub care is getting executed in this project as 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 an epic, as you're able to see here. It is linked to an epic. So based on the percentage progress of the epic at the project level, it gets rolled up at the sub KR level. So the leadership is able to, in one single interface, they are able to get a view on how work is basically getting progress from your strategic initiative perspective. So that's, Mahesh, a quick overview on some of the simple capabilities which we have that will basically help teams to adopt Agile and its best practices in a very practical manner.
Thanks, Mano. That is a great overview of all the amazing capabilities that we have in Nimble, and that really, as you said, help our customers to uh, take up overall and make the right choices for their organization depending on the kind of uh, uh, you know uh, the requirements that they have at a team level or at a business unit level or for a specific customer project. So they can really pick and choose the specific aspects of agile practices and ceremonies that they might need for that particular context and really try and deliver the best outcomes for their customers. And that's really what pragmatic agile is all about, where you're really able to um, be pragmatic. Literally, the word pragmatic means that in terms of what you want to do, how you want to measure performance of your teams, how you want to establish predictability for your project overall, so that your customer and your leadership teams have sort of a good visibility on when they can expect to see the final outcome of whatever the project is attempting. So I see that we have a bunch of questions, Linda. I think you can probably take us through a few of them. I know we are kind of already running a little late, but let's address a few questions. And in the meantime, folks on the webinar, if you have any additional questions, please do use the Q&A box to ask your question.
Sure. Okay, the first question is, in Pragmatic Agile, how is customer feedback integrated into the development process?
Well, that's an interesting question. I don't think that there is any difference between the practices used in agile versus pragmatic agile any different in terms of getting customer feedback. The whole planning process in agile is sprint based. If you're using a Kanban approach, you might have a certain cadence for getting feedback from customers. But ultimately, the idea of agile methods in general is to provide periodic demos of working features, working products, or working deliverables to your customer and get feedback based on what you're able to demonstrate. So whether you're doing a sprint-based approach, whether you're doing just simply a weekly approach to getting feedback on customers, it is really, as the Kanban approach says, it is about the cost of the transaction. What does it take to set up a feedback session, and how much effort and cost is spent in getting that feedback? That really defines it. So I would say that typically the same processes that you've used in your agile methods would continue to work here as well. So let's say if a team is using Scrum, they would, and they're doing sprints every 2 weeks. That's the time to demonstrate the sprint out deliverables to the customer and get feedback from them. If you're using Kanban, you can do this on a cadence that is acceptable to the delivery team and to the customer. What we provide is the support for that approach, where you can track feedback received from the customer in terms of change requests, or in terms of new features, or simply enhancements to existing features that have been provided, that have been demonstrated to the customer.
Okay. One more question is, what are the key challenges teams face when transitioning from traditional agile frameworks to being more pragmatic?
Okay, so I would say it is the other way around, and Mano, maybe you can add to that. So teams are already facing challenges in using sort of what we call traditional agile, right? And the challenges could be about, how do you meet expectations of a Scrum scope? For example, one of the biggest challenges that teams face is that there is story leakage from one sprint to the next sprint, and there is a lot of heartburn about, oh, am I really doing a Scrum if I'm not meeting my scope for a particular sprint? So those kind of questions cause a lot of challenges in terms of how agile are you really? And by adopting a more pragmatic agile mindset, all you're doing is really saying, it is, in my context, it is okay that I may have certain stories spanning multiple sprints. I might take care of it in multiple ways. I might split a story into two different sprints, or I might adopt a more Kanban plus Scrum approach, where I'll look at a continuous delivery method, where I'm doing roughly 2 week sprints in order to make sure that I'm delivering something on a regular basis to customers. So it's not that there is a hard change of methodology or framework from traditional agile to pragmatic agile. All you're doing is you're sort of loosening the strings by which you are constraining your teams in terms of the processes they're supposed to follow, and you're saying it is okay to be who you are, and gradually move to improving those processes that are currently potentially causing you challenges. So, for example, if I've defined a setup where I'm doing releases every 2 weeks, making software releases on my SaaS server every 2 weeks. That's my process, and I may start by a 2 weeks period by saying I'm going to deliver 10 user stories in this sprint. But come the end of that 2 week interval, when I'm supposed to get into deployment onto my staging and SaaS servers, I find that I'm actually able to do only 8. I'm going to go ahead with those 8, and I'm going to keep those 2 additional stories for the next sprint. So it is the sort of gradual adoption of more pragmatic approaches to planning, to delivery, to doing customer demonstrations, all kinds of things, that you are moving over from a sort of more classic agile to a more pragmatic agile. There isn't a hard cutover. And in fact, by doing so, you're going to reduce your challenges that you're currently facing, rather than saying, am I going to face new challenges by adopting pragmatic agile? So I would look at it in a different manner. Manu, I don't know if you have any additional things to share.
No, the only other important point that I want to highlight is we have seen organizations who are following the traditional method, when they are migrating to an agile framework, taking an hybrid approach is the best way. So you're not introduced to a completely new way of working on day one, but you are, over a period of time, you're able to graduate to the agile way of working. The kind of metrics, the way the planning is done, the way the execution is done is different in both the methodologies. So that is where our agile offering has helped, our hybrid offering has helped. It has helped teams to take the best of waterfall, take the best of agile, and then slowly over a period of time, completely transition the organization to an agile way of working. So taking a hybrid approach is always recommended, and we have seen that being successful among our customers.
Yeah, actually, that's a great point that Ramano made. So really, that's a two-part question. One is, what challenges do you face if you're moving from a traditional, which is sort of a waterfall approach, to agile? And obviously, what we believe is, and what a lot of organizations who have seen success is that the best way to adopt agile is to follow a pragmatic agile approach. The other is where the question that was originally stated, which is, how do you move from a traditional agile to a pragmatic agile? And there, my response was that it is more about sort of making changes to your agile framework that you've adopted to make it more pragmatic. So it is, in a way, these are two different ends from which you're coming into the middle to a more pragmatic approach of adopting agile.
All right. I think we are way up of our time. So thank you, Mano. Thank you, Mahesh, for the insightful session. Let me share our contact details.
Well, in the meantime, as Rinza brings up that slide, I want to thank everybody who's been on this session today. We'd love to hear more from you in terms of your adoption of Agile and what challenges you faced in adopting Agile, and if pragmatic Agile is for you or not. Our contact information is there. You can reach out to both of us, or you can reach to the company and get a closer look at Nimble and how we can support your Agile efforts. Mano, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Good session. And we will come back to you in another 2 weeks with the next webinar from Nimble. Thanks, Linza.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us. So,
Bye-bye.
Bye.